The stimulus was signed on March 26, 2020. This stimulus has rocked the property management world, and so many property managers have absolutely no clue what happened. At the current time, there seems to be no relief for the landlord or owner of the property other than mortgage payment forbearance. Maybe more will come later. Who knows? Right now, not much. My name is Harry Heist, founding partner of Heist, Weiss & Wolk, the property manager's partner. Under federal law right now, an eviction for non-payment of rent cannot be filed on certain non-paying tenants for 150 days. You probably heard 120 days, but actually it's 120 days from March 26th. Plus, instead of a 3-day notice, you will have to serve the tenant with a 30-day notice. Does the stimulus apply to every owner? The answer actually is no. So, who can serve a notice of non-payment of rent and file an eviction on a non-paying tenant right now? Who is not impacted by the 150-day prohibition for evictions? This video is going to tell you who can serve a notice of non-payment of rent to and file on for non-payment and who you can't. A lot of you are going to be pretty angry, but don't shoot the messenger. Let's examine the good news first. If a property is owned outright with no mortgage whatsoever and is not in any way connected to the federal government at all, you can serve a notice of non-payment of rent and we can file an eviction for you. These are the cash owners. They owe nothing on the property at all. If your owner has a private hard money mortgage with someone, you could serve a notice of non-payment of rent and we could file an eviction, so nothing really has changed for those owners who own outright or have a hard money loan, for example, and are not involved with any federal programs whatsoever. Many people aren't in that situation. Many owners have no mortgage. The property is completely paid off. Many apartment communities have big commercial loans not connected in any way with the government. That's all good. As far as the stimulus is concerned, nothing has changed with them. The eviction and notice of non-payment of rent, hold off, and the prohibition does not apply to them. Now for the bad news. If your owner's property is a covered property, covered under the stimulus, you cannot serve a notice of non-payment of rent or file an eviction for non-payment of rent. So what is a covered property? A covered property is a property that is in any way connected to, put your seatbelts on right now, HUD, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the Rural Housing Voucher Program, the Violence Against Women's Act of 1994, Section 202, Supportive Housing for the Elderly Program, Section 811, Housing for Persons with Disabilities Program, Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, the McKinney-Vento Homelessness Assistance Programs, Section 236 Properties, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Programs, Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Properties, any loan that is purchased or securitized by the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation or the Federal National Mortgage Association. Do you know how many of your owners have covered properties? It could be massive. Maybe you got lucky and most of your owners are cash owners with no mortgage. But if they have a mortgage, there's a super high chance that they are indeed covered. Many owners don't even realize it. Sure, are some things obvious? Tenants on a Section 8 voucher. Of course that's a covered property. That's obvious. Apartment community is a low-income housing tax credit property. A project-based Section 8 property. That's as obvious as can be. But the mortgage on a typical apartment or house? So many people have no clue what happens to their mortgage once they buy that property, get that mortgage, and then it goes into a convoluted abyss, and they have no clue where it is. The numbers that are out there state that 75 to 85% of all mortgages are covered mortgages. So what does this mean to you? It means you can't even serve a notice of non-payment of rent, and we can't file an eviction. And if you serve that notice of non-payment of rent, or we file that eviction, we will all be violating federal law. You're going to be watched like a hawk. I just read a memo the other day from the NAHLP, a group representing tenants, and they're ready to pounce. They already have a plan in place, and I'm not even sure I was supposed to see that memo. You have a job to do right now, and I'm dead serious. Don't delay. Manage an apartment community? Ask your regional manager to get on this right away. Manage single-family homes? Send out a letter to your owners and begin the process of finding out who has no mortgage, who has a mortgage that is not covered, and who has a mortgage that indeed is covered. It's going to be a real pain. There is no way our office will file an eviction unless we're 100% sure that a property is not covered. Don't take the owner's word for it either. You need proof. This may mean proof from their bank, their mortgage company, maybe from their attorney. No proof, no notice of non-payment of rent, no eviction, period. You may want to run a title search on the property if an owner says there's no mortgage. It's a small price to pay to keep yourself and to keep me safe. Just today we got one in. The owner said it was not FHA. We looked it up, and sure enough, it's an FHA loan. Someone either lied or was mistaken. We don't know. We have a letter ready for you to send to your owners requesting this information, but I can't stress enough that independent proof will be needed. Owners don't always tell you the truth, and more often than not, they will have no clue what the status of their mortgage actually is, and if it's covered or not. Notice, I kept saying the words notice of non-payment of rent and eviction in this video. There's some other good news out there. The stimulus allows you to file evictions for non-money related lease non-compliances on all properties, including covered properties. So, what does this mean? Unauthorized pets, unauthorized occupants, drug activity, and the like. But we're already seeing owners and property managers trying to find something like this as a reason to get around the law. It doesn't work. It's not going to work well. Judges can see right through desperate attempts to get a tenant out, and so can I. What about non-renewing a tenant? If your reason for non-renewing is related to the fact that they might not be paying your rent right now, you are putting yourself in a precarious gray area. No one is certain whether non-renewing is even allowed at this point. We are pretty strict here in our office. Some would say we're too strict. Why? Because we don't want to lose. We don't want you to get in trouble and have to pay thousands of dollars in attorney's fees to the tenant's attorney. And we, as a law firm, are not going to get ourselves in deep trouble for a couple $100 eviction. It's not worth it. Download the letter from evict.com and get on this right away. You may be pleasantly surprised at how many of your owners have no mortgage. Your portfolio might be made up of a few wealthy owners who have no mortgages, or you could have 85% of your owners with mortgages. Who knows? A good percentage of Florida investors have no mortgages. They either paid it off or they bought it with cold hard cash, but millions of owners across the U.S. have covered properties, covered under the stimulus, and it's your job to find out before you proceed any further. Not sure? Don't dare serve a notice of non-payment of rent. Don't ask us to file an eviction. It's not going to happen. We want proof, and so should you. You confirm that the property is not covered under the stimulus, and you and I are certain. We are here for you, and we will be filing evictions every single day that we can. Will the courts process the cases? Will the judges sign the final judgments? Will the sheriffs serve the writ of possession? That's a whole other story. We have no control over that. The whole thing is not looking too good. When you try to explain this to your owners, you're going to have a lot of questions, and they are not going to like your answers. So stay tuned as I'm preparing a video which you could send to your owner to try to make them understand this situation. And more often than not, if they don't believe you, Often they're going to believe me. I don't make a dime unless I file that eviction. I have no incentive whatsoever to hold up an eviction. We could show your owner the proof of all of this. It's in the stimulus plan. It's all black and white, and all can be found on our website, evict.com. Questions about this or any other topic, please do not hesitate. Email us at info@evict.com.